Welcome in. It is the Ringer Sunday pregame. Rocking, rolling, ready for week 12 across the board on YouTube. Of course, for our friends on the FanDuel Sports Network, let's welcome in the wise guys, shall we? John Jastremski alongside me, amigos, cousin Sal, the sharp-dressed Joe House, the super smooth Raheem the Dream Palmer in Las Vegas. Today's Ringer Sunday pregame brought to you by FanDuel. Odd subject to change. Boys, I missed you last week. The video, the calling, it doesn't do it justice. Sally, boy, good job filling in, manning the ship, continuing your run with wise wagers. And you wanted my paella. Sorry, I didn't bring you home any paella from Madrid.
Let's talk 2 hours about paella. Who gives a crap about these games? We know the Lions are going to win. We know Seattle's going to win. We know what's going to happen in all these games. I want to hear paella, and then I want to hear about you heading off to South Bend and watching the worst drubbing your team will ever take. I mean, that's the good thing about it. You'll never see a worst romp again like that.
Well, you're not wrong. I was in the building for Syracuse Notre Dame, which was an absolute bloodbath to the surprise of no one. If you laid 35.5 with the Irish, it was an easy bet. If you laid 55.5 with the Irish, it was an easy bet. That's what happens when you start a walk-on quarterback who's a lacrosse player. And fellas, for what it's worth, I kind of wanted to get out there and start throwing some passes, considering it couldn't have been any worse than what we've seen. I mean, my goodness. Now, I am in Chicago. House, I got to give you a lot of credit. I didn't even want to text you about this, but I did see you tweeting. I was watching some college football. They had the riveting Bulls-Wizards game on one of my screens at the establishment I was at, and you advised everyone via the Twitter to go and live bet the Chicago Bulls because your Wizards had a lead going into the fourth quarter. Buddy boy, I took your advice. Well done.
Thank you. Well done, JJ. Yeah, this early season NBA is not a situation where you want to bet too much, especially ahead of games where you don't really know who's going to play based on injury and rest and all the rest of that. But live betting, especially when you see teams that aren't very good, that enter into the fourth quarter against teams that are pretty decent, that's an opportunity to grab a price that otherwise doesn't exist before the game starts. So we did that yesterday. Chicago only won by 1, so you had to bet the money line there. But we got it across the line. Nice little build up for the bankroll in view of this beautiful Week 12 slate.
It was a juicy money line bet, not as juicy as the one I missed last Sunday on the Ringer Sunday pregame. That ridiculous Kenneth Gainwell. I don't know if it was 40-1, 50-1, whatever it was, Joe House. I think it's fair to say it is the bet of the year probably for any of the wise guys if we consider the payout that you got on that particular 2-touchdown prop. Now, Mr. Dream, we will get to your red hot picks where your wise wagers have been cooking. Your OMGs have been off the rails. But you got on board with a little boxing on Saturday night, did you not?
I got on board with some boxing, but I didn't do too well. Like, I actually thought that Devin Haney was going to lose that fight. I thought he was cooked after Ryan Garcia, and he went out there and he pretty much made easy work of Brian Norman. And then the other fights were pretty interesting. But, I mean, Benavidez, he just rolled all over Yardy. And then Bam Rodriguez at 115 pounds showed why he's pound for pound one of the best fighters in the world. So we had a good card yesterday.
So it was a good card across the weekend, aside from my alma mater and the drubbing they took 24 hours ago. But I am fired up to be back. We have a very enticing card with wise wagers, our man's best bet. The family meal didn't hit last week, which I'm thrilled about because the FOMO would have been off the charts. We are going to hit it with our anytime touchdowns a little bit later on in the show. But fellas, as we kick off the early 1 p.m. window on the East Coast, you got to start with the game of the slate. I think it's the game of the day without question. The Indianapolis Colts as 3.5-point dogs going into Kansas City to take on a Chief team that's 5-5. The obituary's starting to be written a little bit when it comes to this Kansas City group. Are they going to figure it out in 2025? Are they actually, dare I say, going to miss the postseason? Well, if they go and lose to the Colts, those narratives are only going to build. They're only going to grow. You compare the records of these two teams. Maybe this line is a little surprising. Sal, you got the floor here. I'll give you the tee box. How would you handicap? How would you play this Colt Chief game?
Well, I like the Chiefs here, and it's for a lot of the reasons you just gave. They have all the public energy against them, right? All the narratives. Mahomes doesn't look the same. Tom Brady never looked this bad, whatever. This is where KC traditionally embarrasses the doubters. And speaking of embarrassing, our friend Joe House, who is no longer with us. Oh, no, he's right there. He's right there. Sorry, House. My friend Joe House does not get enough credit for his pick. You touched on it, JJ. Gainwell, 2+ touchdowns. You could have got it from anywhere from 35 to 50 to 1. The Ringer needs to embrace this. Forget about the Game of Thrones reboots and the Taylor Swift albums. You gave out a 50 to 1 pick. Good job by you, House. I'm going to do similar. I'm going to try for it. A couple of weeks ago, I gave out Jackson Dart 2+ touchdowns for a nice bundle. Let's keep this pay dirt pairing going. I got an OMG bet for you. Mahomes scores twice using his legs. He had 4 touchdowns in the first 6 weeks, has taken a few goose eggs from there, running the ball for a score. We hit this twice, cashing a nice plus 2,700 ticket. Let's go get it. Mahomes, 2 touchdowns running.
Look at you guys taking big swings right out of the gate. And listen, if the house hits one for 45 or 50 to 1, I feel like everybody wants to get on board with the party. Speaking of the 50 to 1, man, Joe House, rumor has it, your wise wager is on this Indianapolis, Kansas City game, but we're not looking at a side. We're going to play it a little differently. Is that right?
Yeah, I couldn't get myself all the way there with the 3.5. You're supposed to take the Chiefs here. The Chiefs have lost 2 outright. This is the 6th time that Patrick Mahomes has lost back-to-back games in the same season. Situation like this, Chiefs are 5-0 straight up, 4-0-1 against the spread. And then looking historically, going back to 1990, our good friends at the Action Network pointed that out to us. Teams 5-5 straight up or worse that are favored against a team with an 80% win record like the Colts at this point in the season. The previous 14 times that happened, the team in the situation of the Chiefs, 14-0 straight up, 12-0-2 against the spread. But even with all that, I couldn't get there. And the reason I couldn't get there is because this Colts defense might be much better than what we've seen all season. There is some uncertainty around the fact that we get both Charvarius Ward back and an extra week with Sauce Gardner. And our guy, Lou Anarumo's been in the lab. Now, what does that mean? He has a whole – nobody's played the Chiefs better than Captain Lou as a defensive coordinator. All that he's established across the board with the Cincinnati, it's just been incredible. On the other side of the ball, the Chiefs' defense at home has been very good. 9 straight games of holding their opponent to 20 points or less. That includes 5 home games here at Arrowhead this season, 20 points or less. And that includes good offenses like Detroit and Baltimore. I'm not going to include Philly in there, even though Philly scored 20. That's not a good offense. But look, this matchup to me, the way the Chiefs at home like to play is ball control. They don't go for their crazy explosives at home. This is a grinded out situation. They need to keep the ball away from Jonathan Taylor. Their run defense is a little bit vulnerable. I don't think they're worried about Daniel Jones. The last 2 games that the Colts have played outdoors on grass, that would be in Berlin and that would be in Pittsburgh. Not exactly an explosive offense. And Daniel Jones is getting sacked. So I like the under here. It's 49.5, which just feels like a very rich number. I see these 2 teams in a knockdown, drag out, grind them out kind of situation. Chiefs win. Chiefs get to the 6-5 against this Colts team. I don't know whether or not they cover.
Trusting Steve Spagnuolo, trusting Lou Anarumo. I'm with it, House. I feel like it's been a while where we've gotten ourselves a total for a wise wager, but I'm fully on board with this play. Raheem, are you simpatico thinking total and under for Colts and Chiefs?
Yeah, as always, myself and House are on the same exact page. I think House hinted on it. Over the last 2 games, Daniel Jones was sacked 12 times. And you look at those games against Pittsburgh and Atlanta, it appears that Daniel Jones is starting to turn back into a pumpkin. And I think in this game, there's a key matchup here that you want to look at. It's the Colts the Colts run offense, which is first in EPA per play and rushing success rate against the Chiefs rushing defense, which is 24th in EPA per play and 17th in rushing success rate. So I think the Colts will come out into this game and say, look, we don't want Daniel Jones to lose this game for us. So we're going to run the ball with Jonathan Taylor. We're going to put the game on his back. And, like House said, this Chiefs defense is very good at home. They've allowed 37 fewer points than their implied team total. So this is a defense that can get it done. I don't think that the Colts defense is going to be as bad as it was early on in the year because, like House said, they got Sauce Gardner and they got Charvarius Ward. So I think this is going to be a lower scoring game. And I also think that makes the 3.5 a little bit more valuable. So I know a lot of people are going to be taking the Chiefs and saying, look, the Chiefs, they can't possibly lose this game. They're motivated. Well, I want to remind everybody, if you find yourself in a must-win game, that means you must not be very good. And we know that games land on 15% of the time. The Chiefs have played in 5 one-score games this year, and they're 0-5. So it's very likely that this is a 3-point game. So if I had to take a side, I would take the Chiefs, but I do like the under 49.5.
Here's the bottom line with this game, fellas. And I know our pal Anthony Dabbundo isn't going to want to hear this, but I'm going to say it. Sometimes you just have to look at simple facts. Are the Kansas City Chiefs really going to fall at 5-6 this year? Like, in all honesty, are the Kansas City Chiefs going into Thanksgiving going to be a team with a losing record? I, for one, don't believe it. I think we're due to get a little bit of a market correction with these close games. You want to tell me that the 3.5 gets scary? Maybe it does. Maybe it doesn't. If I'm betting this game, I'm betting Kansas City laying the 3.5, a game they absolutely have to have. I don't care if it's must win. I don't care if the public's on. I don't care. The Chiefs are not going to 5-6. And I think for those of you who want to get involved with your money line parlays and trying to find 2, 3, 4 teams you like over the course of the week, take 2 of your favorites, put it with the Chief money line, and I don't think you will be disappointed. Fellas, moving on. We have the marquee game in the late afternoon window. That'll be the Philadelphia Eagles against Sal's, Raheem's Dallas Cowboys. After the beatdown they gave the Vegas Raiders, Raheem was in the building. Raheem called his shot. Raheem had a little extra swagger in the argument he made for Dallas wiping the floor with Las Vegas. Raheem, you get Cowboys Eagles first right out of the gate. Do your Cowboys follow up the beatdown with maybe their biggest win of the year? Let's hear.
Yes, I'm going with the Dallas Cowboys. Yes, I know I'm wearing Kelly Green today because the last time I was on this show, I wore a Dallas Cowboys jersey and I picked the Cowboys and I jinxed myself. So I'm not going to do that again. We had the Cowboys last week, -3.5. We had them -9.5 at +240 as well. But we're going to take the 3 here. And you guys know, if you watched the show on Monday, I gave out the under 50.5. That's now down to 47.5. This is going to be a lower scoring game. And I look at this game, and the home team in this matchup has won 12 out of the last 14 matchups. Dak Prescott against the NFC East is dominant. 21-2, 17-6. Versus the NFC East in his career. And he's won 18 consecutive home games in NFC East dating back to 2017. So I think that continues here. The biggest thing here is that the Philadelphia Eagles offense is struggling. They've only scored 26 points in the last 2 games. You look at 50% of Philadelphia sets of downs, they go to third down. So even against the bad defenses, this Philadelphia Eagles team cannot score. You go back to that first game in week 1 to open the season, the Eagles scored 21 points in the first half, and 3 the entire second half. And if it wasn't for a Miles Sanders fumble inside of the red zone and CeeDee Lamb dropping all of those passes, I think the Cowboys would have won that game. And the biggest thing with this game is that Lane Johnson is out. They also are missing another offensive lineman. It just puts them in a bad spot without Cam Jurgens and Lane Johnson. And we see their DVOA. I mean, it plummets without Lane Johnson. This is not the same offense. And even before with Lane Johnson in, the Eagles were 18th in rushing EPA per play, 18th in rushing success rate. And I don't think the market is properly accounting for all the new things that Dallas has done. I mean, you got Quentin Williams in. You get DeMarion Overshown back. You get Siobhan Rebel. You got Malik Hooker. I think this Cowboys offense is going to be much better than before. And we know the Cowboys at home, they're averaging 35 points a game. So I like the Cowboys +3, and I think they have a chance to win this game outright.
Okay, Raheem, speaking of winning the game outright, a week ago, I contributed with a Jacksonville Jaguar winner for Man's Best Bet. Let's make it 2 in a row. How about them Cowboys, baby? I love them outright in this spot against the Philadelphia Eagles. I know the talk has been, hey, Jalen Phillips, Vic Fangio, Eagles, best defense in the league. You hit on the fact that the Eagle offense continues to be an enigma. It continues to be a problem. You look historically at these Cowboy-Eagle games, they are usually evenly matched. You see a split in a lot of cases. Dallas has gotten the better of Philadelphia, especially in their home building. And if you go back to the game played in week 1, Dak Prescott had a whole lot of success against the Philadelphia Eagles. I know Jalen Carter in play. I don't care. Dallas's offense is tremendous. They have the two-headed receiver monster with CeeDee Lamb and George Pickens. You throw in the fact that, hey, you got Ferguson who could go and chip in the red zone. I think this is a desperation spot for the Cowboys. I think the Eagles' offense and their struggles, it's due to catch up with them. And Quinnen Williams looked like a motivated, fired-up player to escape the island of misfit toys that is the New York Jets. And you put them right in a pennant race. You put them right in a playoff chase. Pennant race football, does that work? We're rolling with it. It doesn't matter. Outright, Cowboys, you're not going to need the 3. You're not going to need the 3.5, Sally boy. Your team takes down Philadelphia.
I feel like no one is giving the Eagles a chance to cover here, really. Like, no one I respect, at least. And I don't, it took forever for the line to go from 3.5 to 3, regardless of you'd think the Titans were going on the road to play the Rams here. And I get what the media does here, Raheem. They build up the Cowboys when they win because they want them around for games that count so they can tear them down again. Well, I'm not falling for it just yet. I really don't. I don't like the predicament and the fact that we could see a Jalen Carter revenge game where our tackles just get destroyed. So I'm going to stay away from the side. Good luck to all you. By the way, Raheem, you should go to the game. We're lucky when you're at the game. Get out of here right now. We can get you on a flight. You can make it in time. But
get the private jet, Sal. Let's go. Get him on the private jet. Get him down to Dallas.
I'll make a call to Simmons during a commercial break. He'll get his PJ out there. So I'm going to go with a CeeDee Lamb prop. As far as I could tell, everyone made their curfew. No valuable lessons to be taught today. So you get a nice plus number for 90-plus receiving yards. You get about plus 152. He has 3 100-yard games, including one against Philly week 1. Remember, Raheem mentioned it. He couldn't come up with a bunch of balls, right? He might have one-on-one balls and just drops. So maybe it's a CD revenge game here. Lots of Pickens talk. Adoree Jackson and Quinyon Mitchell are going to have to give him some extra attention. CD had a 190-yard game against Philly a couple years back. I love this situation for him if you get an adjusted total on his yardage. Let's go, boys. Time to embarrass those Philly kids. Did you see those kids beating up the Cowboy cutouts in the little public school? Shameful behavior. Suspend them all. 90-plus yards, get you plus 152.
Sally, I like the sound of that. House, I know the Eagles have been very kind to you each of the last couple weeks. You had them against Detroit. I was right there with you. I did not have them against the Green Bay Packers. You brought that one home as well. So I kind of feel in a way you have adopted the Eagles because they've been profitable for you. You have any inclination to back the team that's treated you well? Are you getting on board with the Eagles or you don't like this spot?
I am not getting on board with the Eagles here. And I do feel like the read that we had, the Eagles were my best bet the 2 previous games against both Detroit and Green Bay. But the thing that gives me pause is the particular aptitude that Dak Prescott has for exploiting the thing that this Philadelphia defense does best, which is they try and force quarterbacks to throw into tight windows. Well, you know who leads the NFL in tight window throws? That's Dak Prescott, because he's got 2 of the greatest receivers in the NFL right now. 2 of the greats. I mean, let's not get too crazy here. And you know, this Eagles defense has been absolutely a truck this last couple of weeks, but we are now inside Dak's house, and these numbers are incredible. Dream mentioned them. 18 straight home division games for Dak Prescott. Dallas 21-2 straight up at home against the NFC East with Dak. And this one we didn't get out there. Last year, Eagles made the playoffs, right? They won the Super Bowl. Dallas didn't. When an NFC East team who made the playoffs last year comes into Dallas and plays Dak, 0-9 straight up. I mean, this is all, we have enough of a sample size here to talk about how inside the division, this Dallas team with Dak Prescott gets up for it. So I am off the Eagles and on Dallas this week.
Boys, let's hope the Cowboys treat us kindly and we can move forward into our Thanksgiving holiday with a very juicy Kansas City-Dallas matchup that will have Cousin Sal, Raheem Palmer, and Tony Romo gushing to the high heavens. We got one more game to hit on here in the early window, another division battle. The Minnesota Vikings, who this dope took it his wise wager a week ago, putting his hard-earned American dollars on J.J. McCarthy, only to go to Madrid and watch J.J. McCarthy wet the bed for 3+ quarters against the Chicago Bears. Vikings in a situation against another division rival, the Packers. They're getting 6.5. The total in this game is at 41.5. Sal, I think this is a very tricky spot to go and take Green Bay laying the 6.5. Number one, they play up and down to that competition. Number two, the trust factor is clearly not there with Jordan Love, where he makes about 4 or 5 dopey decisions. It feels like on a weekly basis, there's a sense of desperation for the Vikings. The Viking defense, to me, could be a problem in this game. Yet, you would be betting on J.J. McCarthy. I'm not betting on this game. I've immediately crossed it off. You, however, have a big swing that you want to take for Vikings and Packers.
I love that our JJ is very upset with Minnesota's JJ for laying an egg versus
That's right.
the Bears
When you have to represent the JJ name in a proper fashion. He did not, and also cost me in my wallet.
Right.
But that's
he embarrassed you and stole your money. So, and I agree. He's not been elite by any measure, but he is a tiny bit resilient, right? A few weeks ago, coming off an embarrassing loss, he threw 2 touchdowns and stole a win in Detroit. He could do the same here in Lambeau against a Packers team that may be looking ahead to Thursday showdown with the Lions. I'm not sure about that, but I do know the Packers have scoring issues. They struggled with the Cardinals. They lose to the Panthers. They put up, 7 versus the Eagles. They let the Giants hang around last week. The Vikings have a top 10 defense. If you want to forget about J.J. McCarthy for a second, they're 7th against the pass. Green Bay having trouble spreading the ball out. Kraft being gone is definitely an issue for the Packers. I think Minnesota is around in the fourth quarter and worth it as a plus 240 dog to upend this very weird Packers team. I win my man's best bet like once a month, so maybe this is good. Plus 240, Minnesota.
Well, we'll see if, Sal, you're on your man's best bet cycle. House, the problem I have with this one is putting money on J.J. McCarthy again. I just can't do it. There's no way in the world, with no Josh Jacobs, with the Packers being as up and down as they have been, that I want to get on board with them. But in order to go and win the game outright, that means I need some confidence out of McCarthy. And McCarthy against this Packer defense could be a major, major mismatch.
Well, I think your skepticism is well-founded. J.J. McCarthy has 8 interceptions in 5 games. The thing that I think is particularly in Green Bay's favor, very quietly, their defense is very good. But they haven't yet really started generating turnovers. They only have 4 interceptions through 10 games after they picked off 17 last year. The big thing for me on the Minnesota side of the handicap here is their top rusher, Jonathan Greenard, is out again. And that is the reason that last week I moved off of the Vikings. I liked the Vikings against the Bears all the way up until we saw that Vikings pass rusher was going to be diminished because Greenard, their top rusher, was missing. Well, he's going to miss this one as well. So this is a game where Minnesota's best chance is to win by controlling the ball and by defense. But I think Green Bay's defense is better. Green Bay can't lay the points. They're 0-6 against the spread when they're laying this many points. And you made the right point, JJ. They play up and down based on their competition. No Josh Jacobs. He's been ruled out. I think they're planning for Thursday. I think they try and get in and get out, handle their business, get the W against this JJ McCarthy bum, and then get ready for Thursday.
Raheem, I'm glad that House brought up the fact that the Packers do play on the road in Detroit on Thanksgiving. Does that scare you at all as this potentially being a trap game look-ahead spot for the Packers?
I actually think Sal is actually on the right side. I think there's a fair amount of variance to this game. Look, J.J. McCarthy is really bad. He's only completing 52.9% of his passes. He has a QBR of 26. He can just run a car at this point in time. So it's very tough to back J.J. McCarthy, but I think this Packers offense leaves a lot to be desired. And they don't have Josh Jacobs. Without Kraft in the lineup, it just doesn't feel like there's any cohesiveness to this offense. And I think if Minnesota can keep it close, they can put themselves in position to steal it. If there's one thing about J.J. McCarthy is he can get out and he can scramble, and he can create something out of nothing. So I think there's a fair amount of variance, and I think these teams might be closer than what the metrics are saying. So I can understand why Sal is on this game. This total has actually come down from 43.5 to 41. That's probably a direction I would lean, but the thing that scares me is that J.J. McCarthy, he turns the ball over so much. He has 8 interceptions, and I think if you create some of those short fields for this Packers team, you could find a situation where the Vikings are chasing points, and now this game opens up. So I'm completely staying off of this game.
Boys, we are just getting warmed up on the Ringer Sunday pregame on YouTube, on the FanDuel Sports Network. Coming up next, Sunday night, Monday night. We got you covered. Stay with us.
That's some.
All right, another quarterback of the future, Drake May. You know, I was on with Bill Simmons a couple months ago, and I gave him the nickname Drake Maybe because at the time you weren't sure what you were getting week to week. And I laughed, and you know what he's done, Phil? Since then, He's won 8 straight. And if you want me to give you a derogatory nickname, it results in unbelievable luck. So what are your thoughts, though, regarding what you've seen out of Drake May?
Well, I don't know where you ever saw anything this year that made you think he wasn't.
They lost to the Raiders, you know.
Oh, okay.
Even my Cowboys beat the Raiders.
You're right. He should have sacked the quarterback more. Drake May, come on. You got to play both sides, and it's just about you. It's not about the coaches, play calling, teammates. No, it's you. So, Sal, come on.
All right.
Don't be like everybody else. Well, the quarterback, his rating was 82.7. And, last year he had a 90 point. Shut up. I mean, come on.
But let's put it this way. After 3 games, did you think he'd be a top 2 candidate for MVP? I mean, no one really thought that.
Well, maybe not. I don't care. I don't start looking for the friggin' MVP after week 1 like everybody does. Oh, my God. Who's going to win the Heisman? He had a good game. I think he's going to win the Heisman. Drake May, as I watch every game of theirs, and there's many things that come up. He looks humongous on the field. He makes great downfield throws with very little effort, which is really awesome. Good decisions, moves in the pocket, and here we go. Josh McDaniel, he is running an offense that I've never seen from him ever, and it is working really well. What team in the NFL lines up with a fullback behind the quarterback and the running back behind him? And you know what the play is going to be? They're going to run it right up the middle. It seems like every time it's the same play. Then I'm sure every once in a while we see a play action pass. And if we see it every once in a while, usually the guy's wide open. So I wasn't crazy about Drake May come out of the draft. I'm tired of apologizing, but to say he's won me over is an understatement. I think he's playing.
He's great. He's very, very good. I don't know what to say. A lot of these quarterbacks are not very good. So those 1 p.m. Eastern games, boy, oh boy, you really don't know what you're getting, right? So we saw a little Trey Lance. We saw Davis Mills. Penix goes out. We had Jameis Malik for a minute. The early chaos, do you remember it ever being like this? Like when you were in CBS in the studio and you guys had to do halftime highlights, do you ever remember there's 5 quarterbacks out now, there's 7 backups, and we might see another one? Like, I'm not sure what's going on here, or is it just exaggerated because we do have to fill time, like you say?
No, you know what it is, Sal? It's real. And yes, we talked about it all the time. There's 32 teams, and now we are up to number 57 starter for the year, things like that. So that's gonna, if you're whatever you do.
Wise Guys here on YouTube, of course, on the FanDuel Sports Network. John Jastremski alongside Cousin Sal, Joe House, Raheem Palmer. Boys, let's get right to Sunday Night Football. Fascinating game between the Tampa Bay Buccaneers and the Los Angeles Rams. This line has now climbed to 7. You're seeing a total of 49.5. And I think the question with the Bucs has been, Sal, can this team get back to where they were earlier in the season? They have not been the same team health-wise. They have not been the same team as far as their offensive firepower is concerned. Yet, I think you're getting them in a good buy low spot here. I know everybody loves the Rams, myself included. I'd make the case at this point in time, the Rams are the best team in the NFL. Yeah. But I almost feel like this line has climbed a little too high. I think Tampa is the right side. I have a play on this I'm going to give momentarily. What's your read on Tampa and Los Angeles?
The Bucs are a weird team because they've lost to some heavy hitters the last couple of weeks, right? But it doesn't seem to matter because they have such a good, substantial lead in such a crap division that they could lose even a game like this, and then they play, I think, Arizona next week. So they win the games they have to, and then whatever. I just hope this is a good one. Nothing more depressing than getting a text from Simmons at 6 p.m. On Sunday. It's like, let's go early with Guess the Lines. This game sucks. So let's make this competitive. That said, I'm afraid to take a side. So I'm going to go with a player prop, Emeka Egbuka, over 69.5 receiving yards. I was going to make my Tampa my dog of the day, but I don't trust it exactly. I trust Egbuka. I think he gets separation from the Rams secondary and separation from Jackson Dart on the odds board for Offensive Rookie of the Year, an award I predicted he'd win back in August. He's Baker's boy, 9+ targets in 4 straight games. He had some big games versus sturdy defenses, 101 against Philly, 163 at Seattle. I think he gets to 70 at least. Take the over for Egbuka, 69.5 yards. There we go.
It's funny you mentioned, Sal, the possibility of going with Tampa as your man's best bet. They were like my honorable mention for this category. I couldn't get there because of where they stand from a health status, and it feels like Tampa plus 7 seems a little too good to be true. Well, guess what? I'm featuring it not as a man's best bet. I'm going to feature it as an SGP. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to take the Buccaneers plus the 7 points. Davante Adams feels like he scores a touchdown week after week after week for Matthew Stafford. So let's take Davante Adams to go and get you an anytime touchdown. Your guy, Egbuka, everybody loves him. My fantasy team loves him. 60+ receiving yards. Baker Mayfield's got to throw the ball to somebody. He's going to go with the guy he trusts most. Speaking of Baker Mayfield, 225+ passing yards. I love this SGP. A little under 5-1. Smells like a winner as far as I'm concerned. Get on board, and hopefully you can have a little fun with this and cash this home before you do guess the lines with Simmons, which will be late in the fourth quarter after we have ourselves a quality game. Raheem, I'm getting involved with Baker Mayfield. You're looking at the quarterback for the Los Angeles Rams. How are you playing Matthew Stafford?
Yeah, before we get into that, I got to mention something. So you look at this line. The Rams are laying 7. Last week, the Buffalo Bills closed at -6.5. At one point, it was 5.5. This entire show had the Bills last week. So if the Rams are that much better than the Bills, the Rams are probably the play here. I'm not going to touch that. But for me, I think this is a showcase game for Matthew Stafford, who is now plus 125 to win the most valuable player. One thing we know about this Tampa Bay Buccaneers team is that they stop the run. They are second in rushing success rate. So you don't want to run the ball against this Tampa Bay Buccaneers defense with Vita Vea. So what they're going to do is they're going to pass the ball. So I'm going to go Matthew Stafford over 256.5 passing yards. Last week, that Seattle Seahawks defense kind of shut this Rams offense down. Matthew Stafford only had 130 passing yards. That's not like him. I think this is a showcase game, and I think by the end of this game, Matthew Stafford is going to be the odds-on favorite to win the award, and it's no longer going to be plus money. It's going to be minus money. So let's go Matthew Stafford over 256.5 passing yards, and I think the Rams win this game. So, and then let me remind you guys, somebody on this show about 4 weeks ago gave out the Carolina Panthers at 18-1 to win the NFC South. Well, if you look at the records right now, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers are 6-4. And the Carolina Panthers are 6-5. So about a half game back. And after the Bucs lose this game, we're going to be live.
Raheem can smell it. And this is going to be the ultimate victory lap for Dream if Carolina goes and wins the NFC South. And I'm going to be sick to my stomach because I have Tampa to win the division in about 5 different parlays. And I think everybody who watches the show knows I have a major love affair with Baker Mayfield. House, I get our guy makes a very astute point about the Buffalo line last week and this Ram Buccaneer line going into this game. I just think for the Rams, they're coming off an emotional win against Seattle. Now you got to go and play another high-octane game, and Tampa Bay can move the ball. I think you're going to have a lot of points in this game. I think it's going to be up and down the field. It's going to be a much different pace than what we saw with Seattle and Los Angeles. And I do think the Bucs are live, plus the points. I think they're live to go and win the game. What's your read on this one?
Yeah, I like the Bucs, but there's uncertainty on both sides here. With respect to the Rams, we just don't know how much that game against Seattle, and I'm going to be keenly watching Seattle against Tennessee and the Rams here against Tampa to see how those two teams respond to that epic matchup we had this past Sunday. I really wanted to get invested in Tampa here, but their best corner is out, and he might be the best corner in football. It's Jamel Dean, and that hurts. So I shied away. The other thing that makes me a little bit nervous with Tampa is they haven't really had this situation where they're on the road against teams with winning percentages like Buffalo and the Rams in a back-to-back situation. You can't really find that on Mr. Bowles' resume. So just too much uncertainty. I do like the idea of Baker. Baker cooks zone coverage, and the Rams play zone. Tampa's getting back Chris Godwin. He might be on a pitch count, but that's still something that the Rams have to account for. I just don't know what to do. The 7 feels like too many points to me, but I'm a little bit shy about it because of the Jamel Dean injury.
Let's get to Monday Night Football, a game that all of a sudden has become far more appealing. The resurgent Carolina Panthers, after their overtime win against Atlanta, they are getting 7.5 against the Niners, who laid the smackdown against the Arizona Cardinals. They got Brock Purdy back at quarterback. Total for this game is at 49.5. Sal, the Niners have been able to find ways to win despite all of the injuries they have on both sides of the ball. The quarterbacks missed multiple weeks. Bosa done for the year. Warner done for the year. Yet this seems a little pricey as far as the spread goes. I actually like Carolina in this spot. They were good to me last week against the Atlanta Falcons. I think they're going to be spunky. I think they're going to go and cover this number. I don't think there's going to be a Niner bloodbath. However, you're going to play this game and you're eyeing up the potential of a tease. So how are we going to tease a Monday night special with the Panthers and the Niners?
Yes, our good friend, the teaser. I thought the same thing, JJ. This looks a little rich. 7, then went to 7.5, but I have to make a dumb teaser once every show, right? So here it is. San Francisco minus 1.5. Under 55.5. I'm wiping out almost the whole spread here, taking the favorite and the under. I'm just not a believer in this Panthers team. I don't care what their record is. They win multiple games where their quarterback couldn't top or barely topped 100 yards, last week being the exception, of course. Their defense, though, is playing well. They allowed fewer than 16 points a game over the last 3. I just have no trouble betting against them until they lose, at least here in the Christian McCaffrey revenge game. I love the revenge game. So many revenge games. So even though he had to be thrilled the team let him walk, 49ers and Brock Purdy back in a groove, I think. And I just don't see Shanahan dropping this home game under the lights. Bryce, on the other hand, 0-2 in primetime. San Francisco pass defense comes back to earth. Lowest scoring, 24-19 type game. Give me the 49ers minus 1.5, under 55.5. That's the only teaser you'll hear from me today, I promise.
Fair enough. Raheem, from a line perspective, why do you think we've seen this shift where the line was 7 throughout most of the week? Now, as you wake up on Sunday morning, you're seeing 7 and the hook. What's the logic?
My model actually makes this above 10. So I don't know if my model is wrong or the market is just following it, but it's very interesting to me. I look at this 49ers team, and they've been alternating wins and losses since week 5. They win one week, lose the next week. Last week they win. So I guess it means it's time for them to lose again, but it's tough for me to get on this one just because I look at the 49ers and their defense is just absolutely depleted. Like, they can't stop anybody. And I think last week they were fortunate to play Jacoby Brissett, and they were playing an Arizona Cardinals defense, which is completely banged up. So they got whatever they wanted offensively and was able to get out ahead with the opening kickoff, and it never really was a game. So with this matchup, it's just tough for me because I don't think the Panthers are going to be able to stop them. And it's a question of whether the Panthers can keep up offensively. And I think you kind of have to ask yourself that. I'm not sure if they can or not. but I'm just going to stay away from this one.
I was seeing that total at 49.5. I think it has some sneaky over potential, does it not?
I think it does as well. It depends on how hard the Panthers bite down on the run. They have, very quietly, a nice two-headed monster in terms of the run attack. Rico Dowdell has been excellent this season. The challenge here is, do you really feel confident backing Bryce Young 2 weeks in a row? Do you really think he's got that in him? We saw the 400-yard performance, the great comeback against the poverty Falcons. Can he do it again? Yes, that Niners defense is suspect. But here's the thing for me, that San Francisco offense, we haven't seen this version of the San Francisco offense really all season, because everybody's always injured on the San Francisco offensive side of the ball. Well, we saw what they can do when they're all healthy and clicking, and I think they'll be able to score at will against this Carolina defense. So my inclination would be to lay the points with San Francisco, but I understand the caution here.
Well, what do we think about a San Francisco 49ers team total? Because
What's the number? Give it to me.
I'm not sure what the number is, but I think the way their offense is playing right now, you go back to that game against the Rams, even with Mac Jones out there, they got whatever they wanted. And you could say the same thing last week. So I think the 49ers offense is going to get their points. And one other key element is that the Carolina Panthers, they're missing some linebackers. And I'm going to get to this later in my anytime touchdown. But if you're missing some linebackers against the 49ers, that's not going to go well for you.
Got to be 29, right? Team total, 28.5, 29? 29, 21 would be the, if you count the over.
You can get me on board. I think I like the game over a little bit more, though, to be honest with you, fellas. Give me the game over, 49.5. I think Carolina's going to score points. I do. And House, you made a point about Bryce Young, whether or not he has that dog in him. I don't know if he has that dog in him to go and win the game outright. I think he's got enough of a dog in him to go and cover 7.5. And for me, at least, that's what I'm looking for. Austin Gale, our buddy at the Ringer, resident Raider fan, he wanted to chime in with a guest pick. Now, Austin hates his football team. So is he just automatically fading them? He's done that quite a bit on our shows over the years. Or does he actually like the Raiders against Shadur and the Browns? Let's find out.
What up, fellas? Producer Jack asked me for a bet on this Browns-Raiders game, and as a lifelong, tortured Raiders fan, I got to be honest, I don't know if anyone should watch this game, let alone bet on it. If I had to, I think it's only right to ride with our guy, Anthony Dabbundo. I know it's one of his 5 favorite picks this week and in the Ringer 107. Raiders -3.5. Why do I like it? Because I hate it. Dabbundo always says the right time to buy on a team is when the fan base is completely out. I'm completely out on this Raiders team. Geno Smith has completely bottomed out. He is the oldest coach in the league, and you can feel it. The offensive line is one of the worst in the NFL, and defensively, it's also bottomed out. They lost a ton of starters in free agency. Max Crosby is by himself out there. There isn't a football case to bet the Raiders at -3.5. I guess the only other side is to say Shadur Sanders is the worst quarterback in the league, and there's no recovering from it. I don't know, man. Is this game not 2 Geno Smith picks away from being a one-score game late in the fourth quarter? That's what I can see. However, I'm blindly, faithfully backing my guy, Anthony Dabbundo. This has to be an easy win for the Raiders. They can cover this number, right?
Thank you, Austin. Let me start off the proceedings here, fellas. This is my rat line of the week. I wanted nothing to do with Browns and Raiders. Either the idea of laying points with Geno Smith, Pete Carroll, this decrepit offensive line, this pathetic Raider team on a short week, or the possibility of putting money on Shadur Sanders, who had quite a bit of trouble completing the forward pass, was the ultimate thanks, but no thanks. So I just wanted to get that on record. Rat line of the week. No, thank you. I'll pass. It stinks. I can smell it in Chicago, back in New York. It might stink even more in Raheem's neck of the woods, out of some of the deserts coming out of the casinos after what happens at 5 and 6 o'clock in the morning. God only knows. But I am passing. No, thank you on Browns and Raiders. Sal, Shadur Sanders obviously going to be the story in this game. The total is disgusting. It's 36.5. They are making you lay 3.5 with Vegas. Shadur, you want to get on board, but how are we getting on board?
Well, listen, first I want to pull the curtain back a little. We have a production meeting. It doesn't seem like it at all, but we have a production meeting for the show every Friday morning. It unfortunately conflicts with the house's golf schedule. But during the production meeting, Raheem said, hey, we got to move this game up in the outline. I was like, he's crazy. These quarterbacks suck. And I'm like, you know what? This is maybe the most compelling game of the day. Like, as far as the late afternoon goes, if the Cowboys stink, this is the one I'm going to have my eyes on. And I've heard compelling cases for every single side of this game. Make the Raiders your wise wager. The Browns quarterbacks first start is 0-17, right? Make the Browns your best dog bet. It's laughable, but that the Raiders ever give points to anyone. JJ, Ratline, stay away. I get it. Of course, I'm going to go with a player prop here. Sorry to jump on with the haters, but Shadur to throw 3 interceptions is plus 300. And by the way, for him to throw 4 interceptions is plus 800. Something that happens like once or twice a year is only 8-1. But I like him at 3. I don't know what the first team reps is going to do for him. He had first team reps at Colorado for 2 years and took 93 sacks. Maybe the O-line's fault, but you're not getting a break with Max Crosby and Jonah Laulu. Tip passes lead to interceptions. 3 pays plus 300. Let's do that. This is going to be the most watched 4 p.m. game going. To hell with the Eagles Cowboys.
Fair enough. Fading Shadur Sanders, your move. House, you counter. You're getting on board with something positive when it comes to Shadur Sanders. Is that right?
Yeah, I'm not drinking the haterade here. And look, if I had just a tiny bit more of cojones juice this morning, I would have played on the Browns money line. I would have played the over, but I'm just going to be cautious and play Shadur over his passing yard total, which is 157 and a half, an all-time low. Now, look, the sample size that we saw last week, it wasn't good. He did not look ready to play quarterback in the NFL. But the word out of Cleveland, he's been staying after practice with the receivers and the running backs and the tight ends. The word out of Cleveland, they like his accuracy and his arm strength. The word out of Cleveland is that they're going to try and throw the football against this Raiders defense. The 3.5 is an insulting number. The best unit on this football field by far is the Cleveland Browns defense. Now, I know that there is a huge split between the Browns defense at home, which we saw take care of business against the Ravens last week, and the Browns defense on the road. But this is a Browns opportunity. And what I'm really betting into here is the complete unknown. The variance that's available here with Shadur is through the roof. So 157 and a half. He might get that in the first half against this Raiders defense. Let's go.
Frisky. I like it, House. Frisky. Raheem, we had Mr. House, who was the king of the long shot a week ago. You got a couple of long shot bets for this Raider Brown game. And for what it's worth, buddy boy, I really like them. Let's hear.
Yeah, let's go with Raiders defensive score plus 850. And let's also go with Cleveland Browns defensive score plus 1,000. I think when you look at this game, the defenses are the best 2 units on the field. We know that the Raiders, they have no offensive line at all. They are not going to be able to block Myles Garrett. If you go on FanDuel Sportsbook right now, FanDuel is taking bets for Myles Garrett to break the single season sack record at like 23 and a half. So they're taking those bets right now, and they get to face Geno Smith with no offensive line. And then you look at the other side of the ball, Shadur Sanders plays football like he's trying to break the most sacks record. I think David Carr has it. I don't know if he's even going to make it a full season the way he holds onto the ball. So I think one of these 2 quarterbacks is going to throw an interception. They're going to get a fumble, and one of these other teams is just going to have an opportunity to pick up the ball and score. And I also think when it comes to Shadur Sanders, I think you could be looking at all of the Raiders defensive players to get a sack if you're just looking for props. Maybe you take Max Crosby, 2 sacks, 4 sacks, 5 sacks. There's just no limit to how many sacks you could possibly see in this game. So I think the defensive game is just going to be very exciting. So I'm excited to see this one. If it was up to me, like I said in the production meeting, we'd have put this game first because anything could happen.
Colts Chiefs, and then you want to sit there and watch Geno Smith and Shadur Sanders. God bless you, Raheem Palmer.
I like ugly football. I root for chaos. And then when I'm rooting for under, I'm rooting against human achievement. That's how I like to do it.
Speaking of chaos, we have a battle in the NFC South. The Atlanta Falcons depleted. Penix done for the year. Drake London out Sunday. Atlanta going into New Orleans to take on the crummy Saints. The Saints are favored by 1.5. And fellas, my wise wager has gone cold the last couple of weeks. You know what sparked my October turnaround? A play on one of the worst teams in the NFL. I'll take you back. The Giants were a small dog against the New Orleans Saints, and New Orleans took care of business for your boy and won by double digits. I am taking a page out of the Week 4 playbook, the Week 5 playbook, whatever playbook it was. It's going to be a winner because the Atlanta Falcons, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, they are absolutely cooked. They are cooked across the board. Kirk Cousins needs to be in a retirement home, rocking LL Bean shirts, maybe having fun with us on Sunday mornings. He seems like a very pleasant fella. He's had a tremendous NFL career. He is beyond washed as an NFL quarterback. You take away the only guy that really scares you on the outside in Drake London. Look at the passing attack for the Atlanta Falcons when Drake London is not out there. It is embarrassing. Chuck, quarterback now for the New Orleans Saints, playing better, has something to prove. This is a rivalry game. New Orleans, this is one of the few games they're going to get up for over the course of this year. Did I mention that Atlanta has a dead coach walking in Raheem Morris, who should absolutely be fired at the end of this season? All of the script, all of the playbook, everything adds up to me holding my nose for a stinky wise wager special. Give me the New Orleans Saints laying 1.5, boys. Let's go. Can't quit my New Orleans Saints. House, I had to do it. I mean, when you need to get back to winning ways, you just got to go and take one of the worst teams in the NFL. You got to do it.
JJ, we're all mother shuckers this week. And look, this line opened on the wrong side, and the market immediately reacted. Atlanta opened as a favorite for some reason. I guess it was the uncertainty around Drake London. It was apparent that Penix wasn't going to be available for this game. But now we're on the right side. It's a very, very short number, 1.5. What are we talking about? This is a horrendous spot for the Falcons. They played at New England, flew to Berlin, lost in overtime to the Colts, came home without a bye, and lost another overtime game to the Panthers. Now without Penix and Drake London, starting Kirk Cousins is a super hard automatic fade. He can't play quarterback because he can't move. And you know who knows that? The Atlanta Falcons, which is why they went out immediately and signed two lifetime backups. They have Kyle Trask, and I can't remember. Oh, I think it's Mr. Stick. Easton Stick. They had to do it. Mr. Stick. They had to do it because, Cousins might be out in one series without Drake London. This Atlanta offense is DOA. They can't run the ball. They're a full yard worse in yard per carry without Drake London on the football field. And this Saints defense coming out of the bye, they're going to load up the box and stop that run game. It's the Saints for us. We're going to all go marching in, JJ.
Raheem, it's funny. I was flying back from Madrid Thursday morning, and I texted you for our bodega locks. I was pounding the table. I said, whatever we do, make sure the New Orleans Saints are included for bodega locks. And the response I got from Raheem is, oh, I really like that. So I'm glad that I got your blessing. Do you feel as confident, Raheem, as I did when I sent that text Thursday morning at like 4 a.m.?
Yeah, we've been confident about this all week. We actually gave this out on Monday's show, if you guys remember. So I love the Saints, and I think you guys hit on all the reasons. You look at the fact that, the Falcons, they were in Germany. They come back. They have that letdown overtime game against the Panthers. And then Kirk Cousins, he just doesn't have any arm strength right now. Not only can he not move, he can't throw the ball. So I just think they're in a really tough position, and I think Raheem Morris, unfortunately, he's probably a lame duck coach at this point in time because I don't know how he's going to survive this.
Sal, can I get you on board? Family play? Come on, I need the endorsement.
I am on board, which sucks for you because that's 4 for 4, and I want you to win a wise wager. I want you to get off the schneid. I don't have much to add except that it's not going to win with all 4 of us playing the Saints.
Sal, I got last week, all of us were on the Buffalo Bills.
Yeah, that didn't go well, right?
And no, that
yes,
covered.
It did. They covered.
Against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
Oh, I thought it was a Dolphins game. Right. Okay. All right.
Yeah, all of us.
Okay. You know what? We're back.
So
we're
I mean, we might be pulling the 2 in a row in terms of a
Let's
clean
go.
sweep.
Wise guys power, wise guys positivity, a family wise guys unity play.
Right.
Sounds delicious as far as I'm concerned.
Cousins, 2 games against the Saints last year, no touchdown passes. I would put odds on this being his very last start in the NFL.
Totally agree with this.
Wow. Hard to believe what's happened to the Atlanta Falcons this season. You think about where they were earlier in the year, the win on Monday Night Football against the Buffalo Bills. This season has gone completely down the tubes ever since. Okay, let's get to a game that I thought was going to be really juicy at around Thursday, Friday morning, when a lot of the reports were indicating that Joe Burrow might be able to give it a go for Cincinnati. Well, he's not going to play on Sunday. Maybe we'll see Mr. Burrow Thursday, Thanksgiving in Baltimore. But you have the Patriots, red hot. All they do is win. Drake May is an MVP candidate. The Patriots laying 7 and a hook against the Cincinnati Bengals, where defense is rather optional in Cincinnati. And that's why you are seeing this total at 50.5. Raheem, I'll give you the T-box on this one. Everybody throwing the Patriots in their teases, their parlays. There's no way Cincinnati can go and win this game. Are you saying not so fast?
Yeah, this is my man's best bet. I'm going with the Bengals money line. I think this is a very interesting win.
Nice.
I think if you look up and down the card, there's a lot of public sides. There's the Chiefs. There's the Cowboys. There's who else? There's the Lions. Like, there's a lot of teams this week where the public is going to be all over them. And I think another one is going to be the New England Patriots. Obviously, when you win 8 straight games, it's very difficult to find anyone who wants to step in front of that train. And I'm going to be the one dumb enough to do it because I just think this is a kitchen sink spot for the Cincinnati Bengals. I mean, they're 3-7. And then you got the Ravens and Bills and the Ravens coming up. So this is a spot where they absolutely have to win. And then when I look at this line, the line doesn't really make any sense. The Patriots were catching 2.5 on the road to the Buccaneers, but they're laying 7.5 on the road against the Bengals. And if you look at the offenses that the Patriots have played all year long, look who they faced: the Raiders, the Dolphins, the Steelers, the Panthers, the Saints, the Titans, the Browns, the Falcons, the Jets, and a depleted version of the Bucs. So these aren't good offenses. This Bengals offense is probably the first or second best offense that they face, even without Jamar Chase. You're talking about the Bills. That's the only other good offense they've played all season long. And let me remind you, our very own Anthony Dabbundo, he wrote an article on The Ringer this week speaking about the Bengals offense in his NFL picks column. Well, the Bengals averaged 36.5 points per game over the last 12 home games. You look at the Bengals' last 12 home games, you're talking about 47-42 loss to Chicago, 39-38 to the Jets, 33-31 against New England, 37-24 against Detroit. Well, I know some of those were, Burrow, but Joe Flacco has been lighting it up. He scored 33, 38, and 42. So I think game is going to be a shootout. And if you're telling me this game is going to be a shootout and the Patriots, their defense really isn't that good, I think the Bengals are live at plus 315. So that's my man's best bet. It's ugly. A lot of people aren't going to want to step in front of it, but I think the Bengals are going to cover this game and they have a chance to win outright.
Well, I love you swinging for the fences. House, I think it's a great game for an SGP. You got one for us. Let's hear.
Yeah, with all those points, and Dream just made the case for the ability of Cincinnati to score here. This is just a simple 4-legger with each team going over their own individual team total. This is the Bengals at 20.5. This is a crazy low number. Like, have you watched Joe Flacco at home? They score. Cincinnati can move the ball. Yes. Chase is out and all of whatever. I don't care. They have weapons, and Flacco can find them. New England over 29.5. I mean, less than 30 against the worst DVOA defense in history. They've allowed 27 points in 9 straight and 30 or more in 4 straight. Okay, over 29.5. Chase Brown over 30.5 receiving yards. This is one of the ways that you can exploit this New England defense. It's in the middle of the field. Let him catch the ball underneath and get into the little bit middle of the field there. The linebackers for New England are slow. And then I'm just going to play the Patriots on the money line because I am not laying all the points. Dream made a good case for why this could be a little bit of a trap game for New England. I like them to win outright. Each team to go over their individual team total, and Chase Brown over 30.5 receiving yards, plus 475 on the FanDuel Sportsbook.
Boys, I got an OMG bet for this game. Mike Gesicki is back off the injured reserve. Jersey boy had a very productive season a year ago with Joe Burrow. Hasn't played much this year. Mike Gesicki just welcomed a new baby boy. I am a firm believer in dad strength. It's real. It's spectacular. I'm hitting the golf ball 20 yards further. I can't believe it after having my first child. Ellie, God bless you for that. Mike Gesicki is going to have some dad strength in this game. And there's no Jamar Chase. Let's take the Jersey boy, the Jersey Shore lad. 40-plus receiving yards, a little under 2-1. So I know you know a thing or two about dad strength. That's go.
That's pretty good. Yeah. I just sit and eat ice cream all day. That's where my strength comes. I guess digging it out requires some strength. But, yeah, this is a tough one. And listen, Raheem pointed it out. It's nice for Patriots and Patriots fans and Bill Simmons that they finally get a breather on their schedule after going through the NFL elite teams, grinding it out for 3 months. Jesus, what's going on here? Listen, I'm forget it. I'm going pro Patriots here. Drake May, 3+ touchdown passes. Phil Sims scolded me this week for doubting Drake May. I just can't do it anymore. I have to join the Drake May bandwagon. He's 8-0 since I labeled him Drake Maybe. I'll pay extra to join the fan club. Whatever. Pour New England clam chowder on my head on the way in to get initiated. 3+ touchdown passes from the legend himself. Pays +205. Cincinnati's secondary remains pathetic. They allowed 3 touchdown passing games to Goff, Lawrence, Caleb Williams, 4 to Aaron Rodgers. Give me a break. Maybe he could do this. He had 3 against the Browns, 3 against the Saints. He threw for 2 touchdowns 6 times. I'm betting that he tosses 3 scores and watch him throw 2 touchdowns and 600 yards, and then I'll get no satisfaction whatsoever. But that's my prop.
Reverse jinx. I love it. We got a lot more coming your way on this loaded Week 12 edition of the Ringer Sunday pregame. We will have the family meal. We'll see if Sal can stay hot with the wise wagers. All that more. 1 hour with the wise guys coming your way next.
Back in April, I gave you a free bet to win the Super Bowl. Do you remember who you took?
Baltimore?
You took the Eagles.
Oh, okay.
Plus 650. That's now plus 500. Already a winner. You could probably cash out for like $40. But if I gave you another free bet, which I'm going to, would you double up on Philly, or is there someone else that jumps out at you?
Boy, that's tough. I mean, it is tough.
Yeah. Take your boy Drake May. You love him so much. Go ahead.
Well, it's not about Drake May, Sal. What the hell? Get off of this quarterback thing. Okay, if you're going to do it, let's do it right. Don't be so sarcastic.
All right. Well, whoever you take's going to have a great quarterback, I'm pretty sure. But go ahead. Yeah.
Well, there's no use taking Philadelphia because I already got a bet with them, right?
Right. Okay. You can do whatever you want. Yeah.
I'm thinking real quick.
The Rams, the Bills, the Colts, the Chiefs, those are the top 5 right behind the Eagles. The Lions are there. The Seahawks, the Ravens, like you mentioned, Broncos.
All right. Yeah, I got it.
Go ahead.
I'll take the Seahawks.
Seahawks.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. What are they in?
Tell us what. That's plus 1,200. And tell me without mentioning their quarterback why you like them, because quarterbacks don't matter. Yeah.
Good receivers. I didn't say they don't matter. Don't get, you see, you're getting touchy-feely.
I know. You're right. You're right.
That way, it's okay. Once I get off the line, you can kill me. So.
Never kill you. I'm getting the cardboard cutout. I'm not killing you.
Oh, there you go. I like the speed of the team. I think the defense is real big time. And I know Sam Darnold, he threw 4 interceptions. Well, okay. I got to admit, there were a couple of them, and they weren't bad. They were horrendous. Like, what are you thinking? You know that's what people think of you. Even though you're having a great year, they're waiting. Well, he'll turn into Sam Darnold sooner or later. I love that statement always by everybody. But, yeah, I do believe in the quarterback that he can learn. And, when you're playing these good teams, sometimes – you got to stick your foot in the water instead of just jumping in. Build up confidence and rhythm and everything else that goes with it, and the coaching, and then you exploit it. But you just can't come out of the box throwing these deep cuts in the middle of the field that are very dangerous. Yeah. But I like them. The speed of the defense, they can cover, they can rush the passer, they got a good O-line. I like it.
I like that team a lot. I think they're very similar to the Rams. I don't think there's any aspect of that team I don't like, right? They run the ball. They play defense. The quarterbacks, the coach, the bonus is the coach is great on the road, notwithstanding the loss at SoFi last week, but I think he's like 11-2. But odds-wise, I think that's a good pick, Phil, because the Rams are plus 550. If you get Seattle at 12-1, I think it's like a similar team there. So I think that's good value. You're not bad at this at all.
I'm not a great value guy. Usually I just get something, whatever. Let's go. I'm going to pay for it. Get out.
Final hour, Ringer Sunday pregame right here on the FanDuel Sports Network, on YouTube. The Wise Guys rocking and rolling. All sorts of winners, all sorts of plays for Week 12 in the National Football League. It's John Jastremski alongside Cousin Sal, Raheem Palmer, and Joe House. We have a family meal to get to as the four of us will try to hit 4 anytime touchdowns. We got to hit all 4 of them to be cashing in in a big way. That's coming up a little bit later on in the show. We'll hear from our resident Indianapolis Colts fan, Anthony Dabbundo, who wants the Wise Wager trophy. But Sal, he's ineligible. That's just all there is to it. You can have YouTube polls. You could try to lead a canvass. You could try to petition Bill Simmons. You could take it in front of Congress. There's no way you will be eligible for that Wise Wager trophy. I love you, Dabbundo, but it's an overwhelming, resounding no thank you. Sorry, the tribe has spoken.
Listen, he sat in here for the first hour and a half, which is what we do every week, and he lost his Wise Wager. It's different from just coming on for the last half hour, spot shadowing this here and there. No, it doesn't count. Sorry.
That's a great point, Sally. It's like getting called up to the big leagues, right? Yeah. Where you're tearing up AAA, you're hitting all sorts of home runs in AAA, but then all of a sudden Zach Wheeler's on the mound, or Tarek Skubal's on the mound, and you got to shine. Right. No, listen, we love you, Dabbundo. You've been nailing winners all year. And you're welcome to be on the show every week. We love you as a part of the show. You are an integral part of the fabric. But the tribe has spoken. You can't win the trophy, at least not this year. That's it. End of story. And it's not coming from a guy who's going to win the trophy this year. I'm just trying to get House back for that man's best bet trophy that was looking rather fine a year ago in my possession.
That's right.
Right now, I got some work to do in order to go and get that back. Speaking of trophies, Sal, you are a Wise Wager trophy winner each of the last 2 years. You have been nailing them like crazy, my friend, over the last few weeks. And I was surprised you went in this direction because you're not a guy that usually likes to go and lay the lumber in these particular spots. Well, our next game, the New York Giants, who thought maybe they were getting Jackson Dart back at quarterback, think again. It'll be another week of the Jameis Winston experience. The Giants are getting 13.5 points against the Detroit team that stunk up the joint offensively against Philadelphia. Dan Campbell went for it way too many times unsuccessfully, but we know the trends. We know the narratives. Lions, off a loss. Lions at home, cash money. Is that the thought process here, Sally Boy?
Well, the thought process is as we edge up to Thanksgiving, and I'm really thankful for getting here to sit with you guys every week, every Sunday. And I really feel bad that, for the last 2 years, you guys have been chasing at a snail's pace. But this year, House and Raheem have respectable records chasing this trophy here. But you can't catch me because I won 5 in a row, Wise Wagers, and I'm winning again. Lions minus 13.5. I don't care that it went up. Why would I care that it went up from 10.5 to 12.5 to 13.5 when I have the final score at 41-16, right? The Giants, great. Jameis went in there. He ran for a touchdown. Lots of fun dancing he was doing. They lost to the Packers by 7. Now they're on the road in the worst spot trend-wise in the NFL. Detroit, after a Lions loss as a head coach, Dan Campbell, 24-14 against the spread off a loss, where he's -4 or higher. His team is 8-0 against the spread in that spot. And Goff, who's recovered, a double-digit favorite 4 times in the last 4 years. He has not ever not covered as a double-digit favorite in the last 4 years. He finished that game against the Eagles. He was terrible. I think he was like 2 for his last 18. That Eagles defense was swarming. The Giants are not the same. I know they have some nice individuals, but if you look at their pressure rate between Burns and Abdul Carter and Thibodeau, it doesn't really add up because they're only 23rd in the league in pressure rate. Lions average 40 points a game after a loss this year. Jahmyr Gibbs going to have a big game. They all are. Like I said, 41-16. Lions crush, and I'm going to crush. That's 6 in a row. Wise Wagers. Sorry, fellas.
And the vibe around the Giants, as bad as can be. They fire their head coach. The standout rookie quarterback is unable to play. The guy who was a top 5 pick, Joe House, falls asleep in team meetings. Then you throw in the fact that there's all sorts of finger pointing. The defensive coordinator is inept. The Giants are a hot mess. This reeks of an OMG, does it not?
It does indeed. Although I will say, for all of the Giants fans in my life, I actually think the future is pretty bright for the Giants. They just have to get through this season with as much good health as possible. But the cousin Sal touched on the trends here. They are the Detroit Lions unstoppable off a loss. They've covered 13 straight games after an outright loss. They're 3-0 this season with wins of 15, 22, and 31. And then our guy Brandon Anderson at the Action Network had some great stuff. I mean, this team is absolutely, positively capable of putting up margin. Unbeaten as double-digit favorites since the start of last season, wins of 24, 38, and 46. 7 wins since the start of last year by 22 or more points. So let's go ahead and play the Lions at minus 21.5, plus 280 on the FanDuel Sportsbook. Lots of times they get home, they get comfortable, Goff gets cooking, and they try and just blow a team out. They might be up by 25, 28, 30 points through the third quarter, and rest of their guys getting ready for the Thursday game. We're going to play the Lions by margin here.
Fair enough. Raheem, this is a game from a Detroit standpoint that should profile nicely when it comes to throwing in an SGP. So how did you try to attack a Lions SGP that's going to lead us to the ticket window a winner?
Yeah, I got an SGP with the Lions minus 12.5. Obviously, that leg is for the reasons that Sal and House says so. I also have the over 49.5. You look at the Lions, they're averaging 33.5 points per game at home this season. And then you look at the fact that Jameis Winston is on the other side. So you know something is going to happen. He can go out there and throw for 3 touchdowns and 3 interceptions, create some short fields. It's going to be chaos. So I like the over. And then I like Amon-Ra St. Brown, 70-plus receiving yards. I mean, I just think he's going to get his numbers against this Giants defense. And I also like Jahmyr Gibbs, 20-plus receiving yards. You saw what he did last week against the Philadelphia Eagles. I think that continues here against the Giants. That pays almost 6-1. I really like this same game parlay.
I will be firing in on that SGP. I think it's a winner. I love the way you're attacking it. I think another way to attack this game is an anytime touchdown SGP. That's what I'm looking at for the 2 Detroit Lion running backs. That means Jahmyr Gibbs and David Montgomery. Newsflash, the Giants' run defense is atrocious. It's one of the worst run defenses in all of football. Both of these running backs are going to eat. Jahmyr Gibbs, David Montgomery. Smack them together. Anytime touchdown parlay, a little under 160. Sign me up right now. Fellas, all on board with a monstrous, monstrous day for the Detroit Lions. Now, we have a game in the late afternoon window that stinks. It's not my rat line, but it definitely fits the profile if I've ever seen one. The Jacksonville Jaguars laying only 2.5 against an Arizona team that got demolished by the 49ers, that has a terrible vibe around them, that has seen their defense go completely off the rails the last few weeks. You got to wonder about Jonathan Gannon and whether or not he is going to get canned with the Cardinals, because that team's got no direction, no future, no hope. Yet the team in the playoffs only laying 2.5 here, Joe House. What's our thought for Jaguars Cardinals?
Yeah, I'm on the Cardinals here. This is Jacksonville on the road. Jacksonville as a favorite. Jacksonville coming off a big win. That equals fade. Trevor Lawrence as a favorite, 10-15 against the spread. 40% worse against teams below 500 like the Cardinals, 7-16 against the spread. That's 30%. But what I'm really interested in here is the fact that the Arizona Cardinals are getting back 2 of their starting cornerbacks, Will Johnson and Garrett Williams, for a defense that even though it can be exploited, they're capable of generating disruption at a high rate. And Trevor Lawrence against zone coverage, which is what this Arizona defense likes to play, they play at the 4th highest rate in the NFL over the past 6 weeks. Trevor Lawrence against zone coverage is absolute poverty. The Jaguars are hurt on offense. There's guys banged up, so you can't point to the injury card on the Arizona side. You have to also look at Jacksonville. And I'm especially looking forward to Trey McBride against this Jaguars team. This Jaguars team hasn't been able to stop tight ends all season long. I think inside the advanced metrics, these two teams are basically dead even. And so you're letting me have Arizona at home getting points. I'll go ahead and grab the points, and I'll grab Arizona on the money line. I think they are the correct side here.
I'm glad that you mentioned Trey McBride. I may have some thoughts on him a little bit later on in the show, but I'm right there with you, House. To me, this is a great spot to go and take the Arizona Cardinals. Now, all of a sudden, Jacksonville, after the Chargers went to Florida, played in the crazy hot conditions, they had beat-up player after beat-up player on the offensive line, and Jacksonville took advantage. Now, all of a sudden, I'm supposed to buy in that Jacksonville can go on the road, lay points. I don't see it. I don't like it. This line screams Arizona or pass. You're going to take them on the money line. In case this game gets wonky and it's a 1 or a 2 point game, I want to have the points. I thought about this for man's best bet as well. Didn't make the cut. I'm glad because the Cowboy money line is a little higher. So that's a little bit more advantageous for you boys. I'm trying to catch you down. Let's both hit these. I like the Arizona Cardinals as well. Sal, we're both on the cards. You, sir, are not. You are smelling a rat.
Well, you know, we have the Bundo and I have the Jags in our Ringer 107 picks, and that's his fault. He forced it on us. By the way, congratulations to everyone in Ringer 107 for being simultaneously in first and last place. It's very, very hard to do, and we pulled it off after 12 weeks. So, but I also took the Jags at plus 390 to win the division, and I'm sick that this line won't move to 3. Like, why is this? This is my rat line because it just won't move to 3. Arizona lost 7 out of 8. Who'd they beat? My Cowboys. Come on. Are people really fooled by Brissett's 47 completions all in a comeback effort that fell way short? I don't think you should be. And then again, you got the Jags who never for the last 3 decades can be trusted after a win. So I think it's a stay away. It's a throwaway. It's a castaway. I know there aren't a lot of options at 4 p.m., but you'll thank me for avoiding this rat game.
Raheem, this was a game that did move to 3 ever so slightly. You did see some 3s in the markets maybe on Thursday or Friday, immediately back down to 2.5. You think by kickoff we're seeing this line at 3, or you think the books are comfortable right where it's at?
Yeah, I think they're comfortable right where it's at. I mean, I'm at about a pick 'em according to my model, but I really struggle with this game because I understand wanting to sell high off of that Jaguars win last week. I really, really do. But I'm still concerned about the Cardinals' injuries. I mean, House did say that, Will Johnson is back, but their safety is still out. And I just don't know the status of the rest of those guys. So I still think the defense is still a little banged up, and I just don't want to go to war with them. I don't know how you can really back this Cardinals team and feel comfortable knowing that they've lost 7 out of their last 8. They even lost against the Titans. So this team is just, it appears to be dead. This was a team that we were coming into the season, we were really high on, and it just doesn't feel like they're progressing. So I'm staying away from this one. I don't really trust the Jaguars on the road laying points, but I still think that Cardinals defense, it's a real issue right now. So I'm backing away from this one.
Fellas, the Ringer Fantasy Football Show comes out every Sunday night. They can't wait to break down all the fantasy guys you got to claim. They have takes. They got opinions. We love them. They have some thoughts on what's going on with this Jet-Raven game. Newsflash, it's one of the biggest spreads on the board. The Jets have themselves a new quarterback. Fantasy guys, what are we thinking about this stinker in the early window?
The Ravens are favored to win by 13.5 points over the Jets.
Lamar is now battling his 3rd new injury in 3 weeks, in theory. He was out for a while with the hamstring. Then he missed practice last week with a knee injury. And this week he missed practice on Wednesday with an ankle injury. So I think this supports the feeling that we've had about Lamar for the last month, is that he's just not healthy.
Yeah.
And it's why he's not running, and it's why the offense doesn't look quite as dynamic as he's not healthy. And it's like they're clearly monitoring his reps and keeping him on ice as best they can during the week, but he's just not healthy. But luckily for them, they play the Jets, then they play the Bengals, which I guess is different now with Burrow. And then they play the Steelers. And the Steelers, unfortunately, play the Bears Jaguars, then the Bills, and then the Ravens. So I still feel good about the Ravens.
He's just not getting away from the stuff he typically gets away from.
I don't know. I'm torn. I think he's been getting sacked, but first of all, there were issues. I don't know. Some of the sacks he took versus like Detroit before he had the hamstring injury.
7 seconds.
I think there's all overall offensive stuff. Like even a lot of the sacks he took versus the Browns, I actually thought it was schematic. They were doing a lot of teams do this on the goal line now. You know that little play at the 1 yard line where they kind of take a shotgun snap and then the quarterback kind of just sprints to the pylon and then another receiver sprints and they just kind of throw that little out and they just kind of it's just like we're gonna get like 8 inches with this pass and it's like unguardable. The Browns guarded that multiple times, and then they didn't. So the whole point of doing that was instead of doing it at the goal line, they're doing it in the middle of the field to run away from Myles Garrett. So they were leaving Myles Garrett unblocked and then kind of having Lamar just sprint away from him. But then the first and second reads weren't there, and then Myles Garrett just fucking caught him. And it happened like multiple times, and I'm watching, and I'm like, there's something wrong here. When NFL teams it's like galaxy brain where you're like, oh, we're going to leave Myles Garrett unblocked. And then he fucking sacked Lamar twice unblocked. There's clearly, I don't know, Todd Monken, the coordinator, I don't know exactly what's going on, but the Ravens offensive coordinator, I think at times there's elements of galaxy brain with what the Ravens want to do sometimes. But it was funny to see Myles Garrett not blocked and then get a sack anyway.
Those types of plays are always just a reminder for me that timing is so important. Timing is one of the least or most under-discussed things I think about like offenses in the NFL is just how important timing is. This was always what it was like with Bill Walsh. Like, timing and location in like a passing game or whatever. It's like when you hit however many steps your drop back is. That's how deep like a receiver has to be. He has to be open exactly in the right spot at the exact right time. Everything is about timing.
Rhythm is not a metaphor in football. It's very literal.
Yeah. So, when best laid plans and all that, but like if you're not blocking Myles Garrett, if the timing is off, you're fucked. So that I just thought that was just interesting from like a football point of view. Is there any world in which Tyrod Taylor makes this somewhat interesting Jets offense, or is he just pretty much bad?
I think the Jets passing offense will be a lot better with Tyrod Taylor, like significantly better. I think you should pick up Mason Taylor in fantasy, particularly if you're in a deeper league, like preemptively, because even if he doesn't play well, I think he'll get a lot of targets.
Thank you, guys. I have to be honest with this Jet-Raven game, fellas. The Jets making the switch to Tyrod Taylor, quarterback, had me inclined to, dare I say, go and maybe have some fun with taking the Jets plus 13.5 because they actually have a quarterback who can complete the forward pass. And Sal, my problem with the Ravens, they have not looked like the Raven offense that we saw a year ago, that we saw 2 years ago. Lamar Jackson missing time. Derrick Henry not having the same bursts that he's had in years past. I don't think the Ravens are a team worthy of laying 13.5 until I see otherwise. You, sir, though, want to get on board with maybe a Raven bounce back, offensively at least, for an SGP.
Yeah, I didn't love it, but I did it anyway. You try to figure out, I'm like, okay, the Ravens are going to win, Seattle's going to win, Detroit's going to win. You put those together, and you're still at minus 260 for a money line parlay. So I have to SGP this up, and it is Tyrod Taylor's revenge game. Yet another revenge game on the slate. But the Jets have lost by 13 or more to 3 teams, including my pathetic Cowboys, right? So I'm not adjusting this at all. I'm going to give the regular points 13.5. I will adjust the total to 40.5. 41 plus the last 3 Jets games have gone. The Ravens themselves averaged 27 over the last 4, now up against what I think the 27th ranked scoring defense in the Jets. So let's go ahead and add a Derrick Henry touchdown. You say he's struggling. He scored in 3 out of the last 4 home games. And let's add Mark Andrews, 3 or more receptions. That's adjusted down. He's had 3 or more in 4 of his last 5 and 6 of his last 8. So he's clicking with Lamar. So Ravens 13.5, over 40.5. Henry touchdown and Andrews to grab 3 passes, pays 364 in the plus.
I like the SGP other than the spread. So if I can maybe fool around with it a little bit, get an alternate spread on the Ravens a little lower, let them go win by like 10, let's say, maybe boost up one of those other parlays. I want it a little juicier, Sal. Normally you give me the juicy SGP. 364 is a little conservative.
Do it your way. Do it your way. FanDuel has the your way odds, and you do the bar, and you do whatever you want. You get whatever point spread you want.
Speaking of your way, let's move on to a game that is in my neck of the woods, at least for the weekend. That's around Soldier Field in Chicago. So a whole lot of Steelers fans. Seeing a whole lot of Bears fans. We have Bears fans watching us, listening to us at the tailgate, according to our YouTube comments. So salute the Soldier Field tailgating faithful as their Bears are red hot. They're trying to make the postseason for the first time in a couple of years, and they're not going to see Aaron Rodgers. It'll be Mason Rudolph for the Steelers at quarterback. This line moved from 2.5 to 3.5. And fellas, full disclosure, I thought I was going to be on the Steelers in this game. I thought I was going to be giving an Aaron Rodgers alternate touchdown prop because this is a guy throughout his entire life. We know he has dominated the Chicago Bears, and he has been the Bears' daddy. Well, daddy is going to be on the sidelines. Instead of him playing quarterback, he's just flipping the bird to cameraman. That's his distraction for the day. Raheem, you, sir, want to get on board with Steelers Bears, and rumor has it an OMG bet is coming our way.
Yeah, so a lot of people are going to think I'm psycho for this, but I'm laying 9.5 with the Bears. And I've used this reference before on this show, but I look at these two teams like that State Farm commercial with Chris Paul and Steph Curry. You know, Steph Curry was going up the escalator. Chris Paul was going down the escalator. And I think you could say the same thing about Ben Johnson and Mike Tomlin. I think Ben Johnson has proven that he's one of the best coaches in this league. He's forward thinking, and he kind of has that offense, you know, humming to a certain extent. I mean, you look at the metric, it's not great, but they've turned this offense around. You look at the Bears, they're allowing a league low 2.2 sacks plus turnovers per game. So a guy who got sacked 68 times in Caleb Williams isn't getting sacked now. They're able to run the ball efficiently. And you look at the Steelers defense, they're not the Steelers defense we saw from the last 5, 10, 20 years. They're allowing 40% of drives to, you know, they're just struggling. They're 19th in rushing success rate, and they're 28th in rushing EPA per play. So I think the Bears are going to be able to run the ball. I think they're going to be able to create some play action and go out there and score efficiently. And I think I'm kind of betting on the come here because obviously the metrics won't say that the Bears are very good. They're capitalizing on turnovers. But I think against Mason Rudolph in a home game, I think they may win with some margin. So I'm a lay to 9.5 plus 240. A lot of people laughed at me a couple of weeks ago, just like the Carolina Panthers bet. I gave out the Bears 9-1 to win the division. And you look around in that division, the Packers aren't playing very well. The Lions, I mean, they're in the mix. So I think this has a shot. So I'm laying 9.5.
You're going to lay 9.5. As far as the actual game line is concerned, it was 2.5 basically all week. Mm-hmm. It got to 3.5 with the news that Aaron Rodgers was ruled out. It has moved back now to 2.5. That's the latest as far as FanDuel is concerned. So pretty interesting. Either the books took into account that Aaron Rodgers was not going to play in this game, or they only think that Mason Rudolph's worth basically a point. Interesting. Steel special? Are we smelling a steel special from our guy here?
You know, I encourage everyone to experiment with the Steelers special, which is Bears first half, right? Steelers to win the game. It's about 8-1 if you hit it. It's so due to hit. It's been on a marvelous run the last 2 years. But, officially, I'm going with the Raheem Palmer special, which is take the small underdog, adjust that line, and have them winning by at least 2.5. Because as Raheem mentioned, a lot of these are 3-point wins. That's what the margin ends up being. Instead of Pitt plus 2.5, let's lay the 2.5 and get close to plus. I don't know. This jump back and forth because it was plus 190 when it was 3.5. You'll get around plus 160. Look, this is a kitchen sink game for Tomlin. If they're 6-5 after this with the Bills, Lions, and then Ravens twice, you can forget about mid-January football for Pittsburgh. The Bears have had incredible luck, as Raheem pointed out. I think it runs out. Steelers 4-1 in one-score games. Mason Rudolph pulls this one out. Lay the adjusted 2.5 for a nice plus money return.
You know, House, I got to be honest. I thought you'd be in on Pittsburgh in this game, considering your love affair with the Chicago Bears. I thought you were going to just continue to keep fading them.
Yeah, this would have been a fade spot, but I wanted to see what the news was with Rodgers. Look, this Bears team has a negative point differential. They're 7-3 with -6 points. 5 of their 7 wins by 5 points or less. All 5 of those won when they took the lead with 2 minutes it left in the game or less. Every point matters. 3 of their wins have come by 1 or 2 points. Pittsburgh is better than them by DVOA and by net success rate. and all of the Bears wins have come against teams that are 19th or worse in DVOA. All of that suggests Pittsburgh, but I'm staying away from this Bears voodoo. I can't tell whose voodoo you do in this situation, so I'm just staying away from the game.
Cleve Tech, I got to shout out Cleve TA. He compared it to the Spider-Man meme with both of these teams. It's just so much voodoo, but I don't know. I think sometimes there's teams in the NFL, because it's a small sample size sport, where the metrics just don't capture how good or bad a team is. And I think with the Packers, you're seeing it's kind of overvaluing them. And I think with the Bears, they're kind of being undervalued, just because I just think their coach is very competent. And I think they're progressing and they're building something special.
We have one more game to get to, and it's maybe the grossest game of all. Jets Ravens? No. It's got nothing on this one. Seattle, after they lost to the Rams, going to the East Coast to take on the Tennessee Titans. The line in this game was at 13.5 for much of the week. It is now at 12.5. The total, I believe that's 40.5. I think I am reading that right. Yeah, 40.5. Tell you right now, no thanks. Not on my card. Not on the board. No, thank you. I'm not laying 12.5 on the road. No way, no how. At the same time, we have a rule on the Ringer Sunday pregame. Friends don't let friends bet on the Tennessee Titans. Sal, any way you'd like to play this?
Well, let's see what a friend you are here, because I am sort of betting on the Titans. And I'm an idiot because there's so many ways to play this with the Seahawks who coming off a loss, right? We think they're a very balanced team, one of the best in the NFC. Why do anything pro Titans? But 13.5, JJ, is very low team total right there for the Titans, especially for a home team in the NFL. So I'm going to go over. They were stuck on 13 a couple times, but they've scored 14 or more against the Rams, the Cardinals, the Chargers, the Colts both times. They could be frisky for a minute. I don't need them to cover or do anything amazing. They could lose 40-14. That's fine. Seattle, -7 in turnover margin. They've given the ball away 20 times. So they'll get sloppy once on the road at least. Cam Ward gets the team total over 13.5. I think it's 35-20-ish, this final score.
See, I will allow that.
Okay.
When I say friends don't let friends bet the Tennessee Titans, it's not team totals. It's not getting funky with parlays. It's just taking the Titans ATS until they have a competent quality head coach. Then fair. Maybe we can amend that rule starting in 2026. Now, there was so much FOMO for your guy last week being in Madrid. Yeah, Madrid was great. Yeah, the Dolphins actually won a game. Yeah, the paella was spectacular. But I missed my wise guys. I missed the Ringer Sunday pregame, which has a special place in my heart. It's my favorite show that I do, and I do many shows. Listen, I get to spend time with you guys. It's a weekly tradition throughout the NFL season. It's not right if I'm not doing this show. It just doesn't feel right. You know what would have felt even dirtier? If I found out on Sunday, as I'm watching all the games, that I missed a show and the family meal hits. Well, guess what? I'm back, baby. And you know what that means? Week 12, family meal. Let's get a winner. Hit the music. I feel good about this one. I really do. Famous last words. Cousin Sal, you're going back to that Seattle-Tennessee game for your contribution. What's it going to be?
Yeah, look, first of all, JJ, I love that we didn't win without you, and I really love that I didn't screw the group last week. Finally, it's a really nice feeling. Thank you, Bijan. Your team stinks. You don't. I'm taking technically the second back on Seattle. Zach Charbonnet, bring in the charcuterie board, which actually is almost spelled the same as Charbonnet, to the family meal. Order a nice one for Thanksgiving because they offer plenty to eat, just like the Seahawks offense, just like their backfield. Kenneth Walker is their main guy, but Charbonnet, a vulture at the goal line, 6 touchdowns to Walker's 4. He has 28 red zone touches to Walker's 25. Lots of scoring for the Hawks today. Put me down for Zach charcuterie board plus 110 anytime
like
touchdown.
The sound of that. Now, Joe House, you're giving an anytime touchdown play that I'm really going to like because I already have it in a parlay today. And we're heading to Motown. We're going to be dancing in the streets. We're going to be feeling uptight with a little Stevie Wonder. We're not eating the Detroit-style pizza. Sorry, Detroit. It stinks. So does the Chicago pizza. New York. Sorry, I'm biased. That's just the way it is. But let's hit that anytime touchdown, House.
I don't think the pizza stinks.
Come on, Jay.
It's just not up to par. It's like soup, okay? The Chicago deep dish pizza, it's fine. It's like a lasagna. It's like a soup. The
You're
Detroit
arguing,
pizza,
you just want to keep life simple, which I kind of understand, and that's what we're trying to do with this anytime touchdown parlay here. How about the cousin Sal going right to the team that gives up the most touchdowns to running backs with the Tennessee Titans? Well, the Giants are not very far behind. How about David Montgomery getting to the house one time in this game where we think that the Lions might score 30 points or 40 points or 50 points? I only need one out of David Montgomery. The inside run for Detroit, something they like to feature. They can run the ball outside. They can run the ball inside. I only need Montgomery to get across one time, and that's the pick here.
Fair enough. Montgomery's going to score. We love that Gibbs Montgomery anytime touchdown, so we're going to bring that winner to our family meal. Raheem, you're going to Monday night. Tight end. Going to be in the end zone. Who's that tight end?
Yeah, you guys know I love some tight ends, and I'm bringing some leftovers to the table. I'm going with George Kittle, plus 120 anytime touchdown. We hit on George Kittle last week. We're going to do it again because Kittle has led the 49ers in receiving yards the last couple of weeks, 151 yards on 14 catches. He had 3 touchdowns in those games. And you look at this Panthers secondary, and most notably linebackers. Starting linebacker Trevin Wallace, he's going to be out. And then they're missing another guy as well. And the Panthers, they rank 29th in completion rate to tight ends and 31st in passer rating targeting tight ends. So I just think this is a good spot for George Kittle to continue to score. Again, we mentioned earlier that I think the 49ers could kind of name their number in terms of scoring on this Panthers defense. So let's get another George Kittle touchdown and cash this a couple of straight weeks in a row.
Raheem, you're riding with a tight end? The feeling is mutual, big boy. I'm going to that Sunday late afternoon game in the desert. House hit on it in his astute man's best bet analysis on that game. The Jacksonville Jaguars are horrific in guarding the tight end. You know who Jacoby Brissett likes throwing the football to a ton? Trey McBride. I'm getting a juicy price, even money for Mr. McBride to go and score a touchdown against Jacksonville. That's going to complete the family meal with a little Italian beef. Yo, cousin. He lives in my neighborhood. If I see him in Brooklyn, I'll work on that style. Let's see that family meal for week number 12. It is the charcuterie. Zach Charbonnet leading us off at plus 115 for Sally Boy. David Montgomery in the Detroit Giant game at minus 105. Raheem making you wait till Monday Night Football. It's going to be worthwhile. George Kittle plus 120. And last but not least, Trey McBride at minus 115. That 4-leg anytime touchdown parlay, a little over 16-1. I have just fired it in. I want all the good karma. I want all the good juju. And we are so overdue to hit a family meal. Sal, thanks for joining us, buddy. You get the next couple of minutes off, so make sure that 4-box is set up where it needs to be, okay?
Listen, I got a lot to do. I got to set up the 4-box. I got 20 minutes to change lineups. I want to bet all of our SGPs because I love them. I'm going to bet this family meal. I am not betting the Dallas Cowboys. Good luck. You people are crazy for doing that.
I'm disappointed, Sal. Dallas is going to win, and they're going to cover. It's as simple as that. When we come back, Anthony Dabbundo going to be furious. I picked against his Indianapolis Colts again. What else do we have coming up? A whole lot of winners. It's the Ringer Sunday pregame. We're coming right back.
Let's discuss quarterbacks. Shadur Sanders, you've heard of him, right? Rough start for the Browns. I know they won't let us give us a break without the Shadur stuff, but he had a tough game against the Ravens last week. Now getting torched by the media. But also some former backups coming to his defense and also starting quarterbacks saying that he had no first-team reps, and it's a big deal because he'll be better after a more appropriate week of practices on Sunday. How important, first of all, I ask you, is it working with the first team?
Okay, it's very important that you get first-team reps as the starter. And, in all my years that I was a starter, I don't know if I ever gave up one rep to the backup. I don't know teams that do that. Your work is going to be study, understand. There's going to be another coach, the quarterback coach or somebody there that's going to take you to the side, and you're going to go over the game plan ad nauseum to make sure you know it in case something happens. And I'm sure he got that part of it. And look, everybody relax. Now he gets to play the Raiders, arguably the worst team in the NFL.
Right.
I mean, I've really been disappointed in the Raiders, so this worked out really well. The only thing bad about playing the Raiders right now is that they really got embarrassed, I thought, on TV against the Cowboys. It was really bad. Here's what happens, Sal. They're going to create a game plan, and I promise you, Shadur of the first 10 passes, I'll go, the low would be 7 completions. The high will be 9.
Wow. Interesting. I wonder if FanDuel will put this up.
Yeah, they're going to game plan it and make sure he gets comfortable in the game. He might, and I say this stuff all the time, and I really, truly mean it. Throw 3 screens right in a row.
Sure.
If you look 2 yards, 3 yards, and 4 yards every play, I don't care. But the quarterback mentally, I've been there. I love screens and play action passes because it's going to be easy for me.
Right.
That he's going to feel confident. He goes, man, all right, I'm in the game. And then you slowly move into the more difficult throws, the plays that you have that you think as a coach and an offense and a coordinator and all that, they're going to give them some big plays down the field.
But I think his problem specifically is he gave up 93 sacks. Not his fault, obviously, over 2 years at Colorado. You're not allowed to touch the quarterback in practice, right? That's been like that when you did it years before you. Still, how does he become a better quarterback at not getting sacked with the first team? Does that part make a difference?
Yeah, you can. You can just harp on it with you just get to the point you harp on it with a little salt and pepper with it. Like, hey, if you take these sacks, we will lose. And that's true. So getting rid of the football and throwing it out of bounds or right at the feet of somebody, you know,
Ringer Sunday pregame. John Jastremski alongside the wise guys. We have Raheem Palmer, Joe House. We said goodbye to Cousin Sal, and we welcome in Anthony Dabbundo, who is repping our alma mater. And AD, you couldn't wait to take to Twitter that your boy John Jastremski attended maybe the worst performance in the history of Syracuse football, unless, of course, you want to go back to the late 1800s. If you laid 55.5 with the Irish, congratulations, you were a winner.
Well, I will say, it's tough to see the demise of a once great footballing institution, but it is not the end of the world because we did get the profit on it. Sal Heifetz and I talked about this on Friday, and we're like, well, this lacrosse guy playing quarterback, probably not the answer on the road at Notre Dame. Sure enough, after the second pick six in the first quarter, I figured it wasn't going to go too particularly well. It was tough. I was listening to student radio, calling the game, and it just really sucked the life out of my drive.
Oh, those poor souls called that game at South Bend. I mean, at least for me, Joe House, I got to enjoy the ambiance of the campus. I got the vibe of Rudy in late November. The only thing that was missing from that Syracuse Notre Dame game was like their version of Rudy in 2025 running out of the tunnel and getting a sack. You know what I mean?
Didn't seem like it was in the cards, but yeah, South Bend is amazing. I'm glad you were there. This is the best time of year to be there too.
Yeah, so Dabbundo, that was a game you knew going in how ugly it was going to be. So it's one thing when you go to a sporting event and you expect it to be as atrocious as can be, and it's like, acceptance. That's where I was. It was full-fledged acceptance across the board. So it did not ruin anything for me, despite the fact that I did leave in the third quarter because I was like, all right.
Oh, wow. I'm having a rough sports weekend. Syracuse loses by 63. Tottenham's losing 3-0 to their arch rivals in the North London Derby right now. And now the market is moving against my Colts. We just hit 4.5.
Well, I'm glad that you brought that up because I'm on the Kansas City Chiefs. I think it's a now or never spot for them. It's Daniel Jones against the Steve Spagnuolo defense, which I think is incredibly concerning. Now, the two gentlemen that are with us here are all over the under in this game, which I would endorse. We were chatting, going in, assume this line would stay right where it's at, 3.5. It's not. It's moved to 4.5. Does that make you like Indianapolis even more now in this particular matchup?
I waited all week thinking that I was toggling between, do I not want to bet this game or do I want to take the Colts? And with it getting to 4.5, it gets to a point where I have to take the Colts. And I understand that the Chiefs are metrically about as good as they were last year, and that there is some variance in the one-score game stuff. We've all, heard and talked about this for the last few weeks. This team has not been quite as good. But I think what's not being discussed enough is that the Colts are now very healthy, especially in their secondary. With Charvarius Ward, Mooney Ward coming back, they're now able to play the man coverage that Lou Anarumo wants to play on the back end. And unlike past years, there's been a lot of teams having success manning up this Kansas City team. So I think that's going to be the big key here. With their 3 healthy corners all in the game, yes, I'm worried about how the Colts cover Kelsey. I think the tight ends could have big games on both sides because both linebacking cores really struggle in coverage. But at 4.5 now, I do think the Chiefs probably win the game, but that's just too many points for me. I'm taking the Colts. This is our team. We're going to get a close performance in Arrowhead. I don't know that they need a win to validate themselves.
I was going to say, let's show some guts here, Dabbundo. You taking them outright? Colts winning the game.
Chiefs win by 3.
Which would be very costly for a whole lot of people. And that's why the best way to me to get on board with the Chiefs, and I've done this in a couple of different ways, I put them on the money line. I parlayed them with New Orleans and Arizona. I think you're going to like that one, Joe House. I also parlayed them with my man's best bet wager, which happens to be Dabbundo, Raheem's wise wager, his beloved Dallas Cowboys. Now, the line was 3.5 basically the entirety of the week. You had to lay some heavy juice on it. It's not 3.5 anymore. It's 3. I don't think I'm going to need the points. Dak Prescott at home historically has played very well against Philly. We have detailed the struggles of the Philadelphia offense. So, Mr. AD, can I get you on board, buddy boy? Well, how about them Cowboys?
Yeah, we took 3.5 in the 107. I bet 3.5. At 3, I'd still bet it, but I'd make it considerably smaller of your wager. I don't love it as much at 3, of course, with that being such a key number. But I think the one big key for me in this game is that Dallas has Dak Prescott, who is willing and throwing the ball into tight windows down the field as much as any quarterback in the NFL. And we saw, even going back to week 1, when these two teams played in that weird game that got interrupted by lightning, Prescott's ability to target downfield receivers is something that we didn't really see from this Packers team against Philly because their receivers were so injured. That we didn't really see from Detroit because Jared Goff couldn't handle the conditions in the cold weather. As much as I love the way that this Eagles defense is trending upward, I also think the Dallas defense is trending upward. Like getting Logan Wilson, getting Overshown back, adding Williams. Their pass rush is good. And I just don't know how Philly blows anybody out right now. And I know that the Eagles are a weird team because when they fall behind, you do sense like a shift in how they play the games. But the way that Hurts is playing right now, he's just not taking the most of what this offense is giving him. And this offense isn't giving him much anyway. So I think this is Dallas here at home. I think it's a coin flip game. The Eagles will probably win, again, because they seem to win all the coin flip games these days. But I like Dallas.
You know how it's interesting? To me, if you like the Cowboys now with this line being at 3, I don't think you need the 3 points. I really don't. I think if you like the Cowboys, they're going to win. Like that 3.5 was such a significant number where, yeah, the Eagles winning the variety of close games that they have, you can easily see an Eagle 3-point win. But like if I'm betting the Cowboys now, I'm not in this to push. The hell with that. Like I like the Cowboys. I'm taking them to win outright. I'll take the 145.
Yeah, plus 140 now on the FanDuel Sportsbook. I would have played it as my man best bet. Somebody beat me to it. But I think they are.
Snooze, you lose, buddy boy.
I understand. But for all the reasons Dabbundo just outlined, this version of the Dallas defense is one we haven't seen all season long. And I'm interested in what we see Monday morning from the Philadelphia press. If Hurts starts pressing and trying to throw the ball where all season long he's been uncomfortable doing so, if he tries to just go ahead and start throwing it out there and this Dallas defense picks him up a couple times, I can't wait to see when it goes down in Philly.
Every week they win.
The price of admission.
And then people are unhappy. It's an incredible combination.
You know what?
As somebody who lives here.
Let me tell you something, Anthony. As someone that does a New York pod that I very much enjoy on the Ringer, New York. You know what I don't enjoy? Talking about the 2 football teams in my town that have been as embarrassing as it gets for the better part of a decade. I have seen one team in New York in my 4, now almost 5 years at the Ringer, go and have a winning season and go to the postseason. I would kill to have the problems that the folks in Philadelphia have with their football team, where they are angry and ticked off and they want everybody fired, despite the fact that the team won the damn Super Bowl a year ago and is one of the favorites to go and win it again this year. AD, if only we could have such problems in New York, because I would love it from my content standpoint. You know what I mean, dude?
Look, they're great for content in this town. It's absolutely true. I mean, people, my friend hosts on WIP, and he said, all I want for my birthday is an Eagles win when I was on his show last week. And I said, no, you don't. You want an Eagles win where they play kind of bad for 3 quarters.
Correct.
And then they somehow pull it out at the end. And you're just like, yeah, it was a win, but. And it's kind of like there was a meme last year or 2 years ago when it was that the Nuggets kept beating the Lakers in all those close games. And then people were like, yeah, but the Lakers, they figured something out in this loss. And that's how we feel when we talk about the Eagles. It's like, yeah, the Eagles won again, but there was that one thing where they didn't look great, and I think teams are going to start to exploit that. And I do think that the market's pretty high on Philly, and that's why I like Dallas. But it is funny to see how the narratives play out.
A lot of unity with that game. Love it. Absolutely love it. Okay, let's get to a game, AD, that I had a really hard time with. Minnesota and Green Bay. Because Minnesota was my wise wager just a week ago. I have some J.J. McCarthy PTSD. I think you can understand why after watching that game against the Chicago Bears. However, the Green Bay Packers have been a team that has kind of played up and down to its competition throughout the course of this year. Jordan Love has not wowed me. LaFleur has not had a great season. They have not flexed the way I thought they were going to flex as far as being one of the top teams within the sport. And I just don't feel particularly comfortable laying margin with the Packers. Do you have a read on Vikings Pack?
If I had to bet a side, I would take Green Bay. I think that the struggle in this matchup, though, is really just the Minnesota offense against this Green Bay defense. I've said all year that I think Green Bay's defense is a top 5 unit. I have really never wavered on that. And quite frankly, they've only played one bad game all year. Like, there's one game, and it was the game against Dallas that everybody watched in that crazy Dak game where he was on one that night. That was the only game really where you're like, what's going on with Green Bay here? Like last week, they gave up 20 points, but I mean, they dropped like 4 interceptions, and there was a lot of silliness that happened in that game. And some of it is stupidity. I mean, Green Bay's defense and receivers are not good at catching the ball. That's an important skill in football. But ultimately, I would lay it with Green Bay here. The one thing that I don't love is the direction that the Minnesota defense is heading in, too. Since the bye week, they're bottom 5 yards per attempt allowed. They're blitzing a ton, and Love's been pretty good against the blitz. Now, granted, he doesn't have the full plethora of receiving options. Green Bay is still not healthy. But I think, I lean Green Bay here. I think I'm going to be betting Green Bay this weekend. Sal's not on the show, so I can say what the line is. I'm going to be betting Green Bay on Thanksgiving, catching at least 3 against Detroit.
House, you are the king of the teas, my friend. I ask you this simple question. Would you feel comfortable putting Green Bay in a variety of Sunday teasers that I should get on board with the FanDuel Sportsbook, or is it major buyer beware?
I'm totally fine with Green Bay and teaser as a teaser leg, and it's because of what Dabbundo just laid out. I don't think this Vikings defense is what the metrics reflect for season long. The loss of Greenard, I keep saying it. It's really, really, really meaningful. He is their top rusher. He's the one that's responsible for getting pressure on the quarterback. I also, we have to talk about J.J. McCarthy if we're going to talk about this Minnesota situation. Good luck to him outdoors at Lambeau. He looks as lost as any quarterback in the NFL. I think Shadur is going to have a better performance than J.J. McCarthy today.
Wow. Okay.
I like it.
Facing a much worse defense for sure.
I love when our guys come out firing with takes. Okay, AD. I have a soft spot for Baker Mayfield. I also have a soft spot for the Los Angeles Rams. These are 2 of my 2025 teams.
The JJ Bowl.
The JJ Bowl. No, it doesn't involve JJ McCarthy. Thank goodness for that. Tampa, tough performance in the 4th quarter against Buffalo. Did a lot of positive things, though, for the first 3. Rams, that was a grueling game against Seattle. Their offense really struggled against that McDonald defense. Are you buying a potential letdown spot here for McVay and his boys?
I'm not sure as far as like a letdown, but I do think we're now at like the peak of what the market is going to say about this Rams team. And the one thing about this matchup is, when we've said this all year, is that they're very good the Bucs playing in these from behind game states because Baker just hunts and finds explosive plays. And that's what the Rams defense has problems with, where when they get a lead and teams are just throwing the ball, you can move the ball in the secondary. And also McVay gets a little conservative. That's been a common theme for him for years, where like if they're up 6 or they're up 4 late, he doesn't really go for the kill. He's had a tendency to be a little more hesitant. So I think that opens the door for Tampa at 7 to take some points here with the Bucs and say, like, even if the Rams offense is playing as well as it has, the Bucs are going to have opportunities to stay close here, just like they did last week. I know the Bills covered late. They pulled away, but there was ample opportunity for Tampa to steal that game. I think there'd be ample opportunity for them to be in this one too.
Lost my voice there for a second. I was about to tee up Raheem and I was going to cough. Raheem, very quickly. Rams right now, best team in the NFL?
I left last week's game feeling like Seattle was still better. It's just the quarterback. So,
well, you can't ignore that. I mean, come
that's
on,
a big
Raheem.
problem.
That's a big problem. That's like everything's great about my wardrobe except for, I don't know, the shirt that I'm wearing. I don't know, dude. My pants are great. My sneakers are great. You need a nice shirt.
Seattle held Matthew Stafford to 130 passing yards.
They did.
If they don't have 4, if Darnold doesn't throw 4 interceptions,
right,
that's a win.
It's like we said, like if Darnold had just had a bad game instead of a historically bad game, they would have won.
AD?
But he did have a historically bad game.
The answer is yes. So they're the best team in the NFL.
There we go. That was the answer I was
agrees.
looking for. It's wise wager time. I love you. You know you're ineligible for the trophy, but I actually think it will be amazing if you have the best record of the 5 and you don't win the trophy. Now you're back in your comfort zone. You're ready to rock. You're going to give me a winner. And no, you can't give me a Texan under.
I like the Bills, Texans under 44.5. Let me tell you what's going to happen. The Bills are going to convert a 4th and 27 on a crazy hook and lateral. They're going to get into the red zone, but then they're not going to score, and it's going to stay under. That's my best bet of the week. Good luck, everybody, playing that. No, I kid. But I'm going to go to a bet that has been profitable all year, and it's continuing to bet against this Bengals defense, which I think is still historically bad and maybe still not being priced as historically bad. If you go look at the Bengals games at home over the last 2 years, every game is a shootout, just an absolute thriller. And so I'm going with New England, team total over 29.5. And the reason for this, we know that they're going to hunt and get explosive plays. The Patriots love throwing the ball downfield. Drake May's throwing a great deep ball. The emergence of Travion Henderson, he's been inconsistent down to down, but he's hitting those home run runs. He's getting those deep, big run chunk plays that really break open games, and the Bengals cannot stop anything. I think they can keep up a little bit, maybe get to 20 themselves, but give me New England 29.5 over team total in this one. My favorite bet of the day. And since Cousin Sal challenged me to come up with a 10-1 or better, you can also bet FanDuel specials. Drake May, most pass yards in the NFL this week, 10-1. It's my long shot of the week.
Juicy. All right, AD, good luck with those. Let's take a look at the Ringer 107. The crew's got all their picks for this week 12. A lot of unity with New England. And for what it's worth, I missed our Thursday show. Raheem knows this poll well. We would have never taken New England if I was on the show. We made sure we took the New Orleans
We wanted
Saints.
Cincinnati, but Brian Barrett.
Don't let us down, Brian Barrett. Don't let us down. Handicapos. Dallas, I like it. Arizona, I like it. And everybody AD on the New Orleans Saints. As a final parting thought, AD, New Orleans going to be a winner for your boy, JJ?
I think so. We're mother shuckers. As a team here, we are mother shuckers for at least this week. Second straight week, Sal and I, second straight game, we've been on the Saints, and we think that they can come through for us. This is the classic Falcons dream crusher. Season's over, quarterback's out, receivers out, coach is getting fired. It's time to go. Let's go Saints.
It's week 12 in the books. Enjoy all the football. For Anthony Dabbundo, Raheem Palmer, Joe House, and John Jastremski, we'll be back same time, same place next week. Be good, everybody.